Thanks for logging on to myfoxhurricane.com. So we now have two tropical systems that we are tracking. First one here is Tropical Storm Bret, winds of 70 miles an hour. And now we have TD number 4. That was the advisories initiated this morning on that system. And first glance here, looks like it is just a follow the leader with these systems just kind of working their way towards the Caribbean. But Bret looks like it'll be heading towards the Caribbean, and TD4, which will eventually more than likely become Cindy, that is going to head actually a bit further to the north, but basically the same idea for both of these systems. Here's the latest on Bret. Winds are at 70 miles an hour. Hurricane reconnaissance plane, they've been flying in this system because it's right on the edge of becoming a hurricane. Hurricane 75 miles an hour. And what they're finding with this is the system it's kind of tilted. And that's to be expected because we've been talking about for days now, the wind shear with this. Excuse me. So what you're going to see with this is because of that wind shear and the tilting of the storm, it's really going to struggle to intensify. So more than likely it's going to stay right at this level here. If it becomes a hurricane, it's just barely going to become one. But then once it works its way into the Caribbean, those winds will really start to pick up over this system and just kind of sheared apart. So that's why you see this dissipating, weakening, and then dissipating as it works its way through the middle of the Caribbean. Here is TD number 4. Winds are currently at 35 miles an hour. Once it reaches 40, it gets the name, and that will become Cindy as we go through the next couple of days. That could be as early as later on today. But notice that track. It is a bit further to the north. It'll stay north of the islands. But again, same thing going on with this. As it works its way over into this region, the winds, that wind shear really starts to pick up over this system, and that will eventually weaken and dissipate this storm. So what you're looking at here is Bret and then TD4. What this is here, that red shade, that is that stronger wind in the atmosphere and then over into the Caribbean. And watch what happens as we head through tomorrow. You're still looking at these systems either holding their own or intensifying. In the case of TD4, likely intensifying a little bit more. And then as Bret works its way into the Caribbean, it starts to encounter more and more of that strong wind shear. And you see what's going on with eventually what becomes Cindy moving right through that area of stronger wind shear. So as we get into next week, both of these systems essentially dissipating and just some leftover tropical moisture across the Caribbean and also into the western Atlantic. Other than that, the tropics are quiet, but it's been a pretty busy start to the season with two of these systems coming out of just a region that we don't typically look at this time of the year, which is in the middle and the eastern Atlantic as you go through the month of June. And it's typically way too early to see that, but that is exactly what we have going on. So we'll keep you updated right here on myfoxhurricane.com.